You are losing $300 every single month. Not because the market is down, because of one financial decision you keep making, and nobody around you is talking about it. Close this video if you are comfortable where you are. What follows has been deliberately removed from every financial education system in this country. And there is a reason for that. The average person keeps 87% of their money in places that lose value every year. Not slowly, consistently. And the institutions managing that money are fully aware of what is happening to it. Inflation has quietly erased over 26% of real purchasing power in the last decade. That money did not disappear. It transferred from accounts like yours to places you have never been shown. But here is what nobody tells you. The transfer was not accidental. It was designed into the system before you were old enough to open a bank account. That is where this starts. There is a category of income that the wealthiest 4% of Americans depend on almost entirely. It does not require them to show up anywhere. It does not stop when they sleep. It does not pause when markets fluctuate slightly. This category is not stocks. It is not real estate in the traditional sense. And it is not anything a financial advisor at a bank will ever sit down and explain to you without being asked first. People who earn above $400,000 a year allocate an average of 65% of their net worth to assets that generate income automatically. Not returns. Income. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. Returns depend on selling. Income does not. One requires you to exit. The other requires you to enter once, and then stay quiet. The wealthy understood this distinction decades before it became a conversation online. But here is what nobody tells you. The entry point to this kind of income has been made to appear far more complicated and far more expensive than it actually is. That complexity is not accidental. It protects something. Let that sit for a moment. The system that educates you financially, the schools, the banks, the advisors paid on commission, has a direct interest in keeping you inside a smaller set of options. That is not a theory. That is a business model. Here is the part most people are not prepared to hear. The reason you do not have passive income right now is not because you lack money. Millions of people started with less and built income streams that now exceed their salaries. The reason is what you were taught to believe money is for. You were taught that money is for saving. Put it away. Let it sit. Watch the number grow. That philosophy has transferred more wealth out of the middle class than any recession in modern history. Savings accounts in the United States currently yield between 0.4 and 0.6% on average. Inflation runs between 3 and 4% annually. That gap, that quiet, invisible gap, is where your financial future is silently disappearing every single month. But here is what nobody tells you. Every dollar sitting still is working for someone, just not for you. The bank takes your deposited capital and lends it at rates between 6 and 24%. You receive less than 1. They keep the rest. This is not illegal. It is not even hidden in the technical sense. It is buried in plain sight inside documents you agreed to without reading. Because nobody told you what to look for or why it mattered. The mechanism banks use to profit from your deposits, while paying you almost nothing, is called the net interest margin. In 2023, the top 5 American banks reported combined net interest income exceeding $230 billion. That money came from the gap between what they paid depositors and what they charged borrowers. You were the depositor. You were not the borrower. You were on the wrong side of that transaction, and you may have been on the wrong side of it for years without realizing it had a name. Here is what the other side looks like. Assets that generate passive income, dividend-producing equities, income-generating real estate investment structures, private credit instruments. These are the tools that sit on the other side of that equation. The most important part of this is coming. Stay with me, because what follows is the piece that connects everything. And it is the part that financial institutions specifically avoid discussing in public forums. Wealthy individuals do not simply invest. They position capital into structures that generate income regardless of whether they are watching. The distinction sounds small. The financial result over 10 years is not small at all. A person who places $10,000 into an average dividend-focused fund at an average yield of 6% and reinvests those dividends does not simply earn $600 per year, compounded over 15 years without adding a single dollar more. That position grows to approximately $23,965, producing increasing income every single year. But here is what nobody tells you. That same $10,000 sitting in a standard savings account at 0.5% over the same period becomes $10,778. In an inflationary environment, it has actually lost real purchasing power. The number went up. The value went down. This is not investment advice. This is arithmetic. And it is arithmetic that the institutions profiting from your deposits would prefer you never sit down and perform. The individuals who discovered this earliest did not have more money than you. Many of them had significantly less. What they had was a different understanding of what their money was supposed to be doing between the moments they were not looking at it. Now comes the part that most financial content will not say directly. The reason you are in the position you are in is not bad luck. It is not the economy. It is a series of decisions that felt safe because they were the default. And defaults are designed by the institutions that benefit from your choosing them. You chose the savings account because the bank offered it. You kept money liquid because you were told liquidity equals safety. You avoided investing because the media told you markets were volatile and dangerous. Every one of those signals came from sources with a financial interest in your passivity. Passive in behavior, active in loss. That is what sitting still with money actually means in a system built on interest differentials and compounding time. The people around you who quietly accumulated wealth over the last decade did not do something extraordinary. They did something ordinary. But they did it in a structure the majority never considers, because the majority was never shown the door. But here is what nobody tells you. The door is not locked. It was never locked. It was simply not pointed at. There is a meaningful difference between a secret and something that was never explained. And that difference is where the gap between financial outcomes lives. You are not broke because you are lazy. You are not behind because you did not work hard enough. You are behind because you optimized for the wrong thing. You optimized for safety inside a system that defines safety in a way that benefits itself. The shift that separates people who build passive income from people who do not is not a financial event. It is a perceptual one. They stopped thinking of money as something to protect. They started thinking of it as something to deploy. Deployment means directing capital toward assets that return more capital, without requiring additional labor to do so. That is the core definition of passive income, stripped of every piece of language designed to make it sound complicated or exclusive. You do not need to be rich to begin. You need to be precise. You need to understand exactly where your money is sitting right now, what it is returning, and what it would return if it were positioned differently. That calculation is not difficult. It is just rarely encouraged. The silent money mindset is not about motivation. It is about architecture. People who live off passive income built a structure, and then let the structure do the work. They do not hustle inside it. They monitor it. There is a distance between them and their income that most people never create. But here is what nobody tells you. That distance is available to people who have never earned more than an average salary. The variable is not income level. The variable is allocation, where capital goes versus where it sits. A person earning $60,000 per year, who allocates correctly over a decade, can create a passive income stream that replaces a meaningful portion of that salary. A person earning $120,000 who allocates incorrectly builds nothing but a larger number in a slow account. Income level is not the gate. Behavior is the gate. And behavior changes when understanding changes. Not when motivation peaks, not when the economy improves, not when the timing feels right. There is no perfect moment to begin positioning capital toward income-generating assets. Every month you delay is a month of potential compounding that cannot be recovered. Time in a structure is the only variable that cannot be purchased later at any price. Here is the final piece, the one that brings everything together. The reason this information feels new, even though the mechanisms are decades old, is that financial literacy was never designed to be distributed evenly. It was designed to be held by the people who benefit from others not having it. Dividend structures, income-generating real estate vehicles, private lending instruments, systematic allocation strategies. These are not new inventions. They are old tools that were simply discussed in rooms you were not invited into. That is changing. Slowly. But it is changing. The access point has never been lower. The information has never been more available. And the cost of inaction has never been higher. Because every month that passes is a month of compounding that belongs to someone else's portfolio, not yours. But here is what nobody tells you. The most dangerous financial position is not losing money in a bad investment. The most dangerous position is earning nothing while believing you are being responsible. That is the loss that never shows up as a loss on any statement. Right now, your money is in one of two places. It is generating income for you, quietly, automatically, without your presence required. Or it is generating income for the institution holding it. There is no third option. Every dollar is working. The question is who it is working for. The banks do not want this conversation to expand. The advisors paid on product commissions do not want it either. The financial education system that stops at spend less than you earn certainly does not want you asking what happens after that. But the information exists. The structures exist. The access exists. What does not exist is the automatic delivery of this knowledge to people who were never positioned to receive it. That delivery is something you have to choose. You watched this far. That means something. Most people close unfamiliar information within the first 30 seconds. You did not. That is not an accident. That is the first behavior that separates the people who shift their financial position from the people who do not. The next move is yours. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more prepared. The preparation is already done. Every additional day of delay is a calculable, specific, real dollar amount leaving your potential future and entering someone else's present. The secret was never hidden behind a wall. It was hidden behind the assumption that someone else would explain it to you when you were ready. Nobody was coming. Nobody scheduled that meeting. The system was working exactly as designed. Now you know what the design was. What you do with that, starting today, is the only financial decision that will ever actually matter.